Hi, Beck Mack here for Pops Art, and I am at the Ipswich Gallery because tonight is the opening of Lincoln Austin's mid-career survey, and it is called The Space Between Us, and we are having a very quick sneak preview before everyone joins us in the gallery. Lincoln, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Beck. How are you?
Just talk us through a little bit how you're feeling right now. Like, this must be an immense moment for you to be standing in a space surrounded, I guess, by your life's work to this point. How do you feel?
Conflicting. I have to speak in front of 250 people, which is terrifying. But at the same time, I've been in the gallery for the last 4 weeks assisting with the install of the show. So I've had a chance to go through a lot of the anxious moments and get back in touch with these works. So just about every emotion I could be feeling, I'm feeling at the moment, but mostly happy. Yeah, it's incredible. It's exciting. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, because when I first walked in here, I was just like, I literally gasped with the visual pleasure that is surrounding us in this incredible space. So what was the process of selecting the work? Like, how did you start? It must have been a bit mind-blowing in itself.
By letting someone else do that for me. So I was lucky enough to be asked, who would you like to curate this exhibition? Samantha Littley had finished up at UQ and was at a loose end. She was about to start her master's, and so I thought Samantha would be a great person to curate it. So I tasked her with, I put together an archive of everything I've done over the last 21 years, and she made a selection from that. It was great to be able to step back from that process and let someone else cast their eye over everything and make interesting connections and all of that kind of thing, yeah.
And are there certain pieces that you absolutely love the most and others that sort of loathe or just drive you insane?
That one.
That's so exciting. The big coloured one.
I'm married to this
Right,
work.
well, let's talk about it, because
This work until the end of time, because no one but me knows how to put it together. It's now in the collection of Moreton Bay Regional Council, and they've written an amazing manual to put it together, but I looked at the manual and went, I don't think even I could work out. There's a nuance involved in putting this work together, and it also takes 3 days, so it's physically really demanding to put together as well.
and only you can do it.
Well, now I've trained a number of people here. I think there were 4 of us. Well, no, there were 6 of us working on this, and we put it together in 3 days, but that means there's 5 other people who have a pretty fair idea of how it goes together.
But it is spectacular. It looks like a mathematical equation.
I mean, it's the largest gallery-based work that I've ever made, and this is actually only 3/4 of the work. There's 3 units missing, but this is what we could afford to install into here. So.
Now, earlier we were just chatting, and I guess it must be like to be standing in a room surrounded by your work, almost like standing above your life in a way. Yeah. How does what has it revealed to you about yourself, and then also the essence of your work? Like, have you got some kind of new perspective on those 2 elements?
Well, I guess I mean, as an artist, you're always looking back at what you've done previously. What it has done is probably given me a greater sense of my practice as a continuum, that maybe there were things I thought that I was making that didn't necessarily make sense at the time. But when you see them in this context and related to other works, you realize that there is a kind of a stream that runs through everything, but it doesn't always make sense when you're in the thick of it. But stepping back, I can go, okay, there is something, something overarching through all of this, and I'm still not entirely sure what that is, but it makes sense somehow, and it feels very satisfying to know that I haven't been wasting my time for the last 21 years. Yeah.
And look at you can really see all the relationships and the threads running through the work. But you mentioned a word before that was about a memory attached to an object or people in a place, and the process that you've been not enduring, but going through. And can you just tell us a little bit about that?
These works are a bit of an endurance, and this work in particular, I made a comment to a friend of mine, the painter Aaron Snowball, that I wanted to make a work that at the end of the day I felt exhausted and that almost killed me, and this is the work that came as a result of that. But yeah, we were talking about this idea of haptic knowledge, and that you learn within yourself, but you have this experience. When you have a relationship with an object, you learn with that object, and that object becomes a trigger of that learning. And so I was very exhausted in the early days of installing this exhibition because I was having to acquaint myself with all of those memories. So all of these memories of the labour and the thought came kind of streaming back, and it was actually very, very exhausting. But I've kind of through that now, I think. I've reacquainted myself and just kind of can sit back a little bit, which was the pleasure, like absolute privilege of being able to be part of installing this exhibition.
And I guess being an artist is such a romantic concept, but it's actually freaking hard work and toil and there's quite a below mundanity in it sometimes.
It's that classic thing of like 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration. Yeah. But what I really like about repetitive work is the meditative state that you can find yourself in. When I talk about, factory work. I often am just doing factory work, but my studio unfortunately doesn't have the facilities of a factory. So often I'm having to invent a tool to make a process or something like that. So there's still a handmade process and element to it all as well. But it's repetitive, and I kind of quite like it.
But at the same time, look what it creates, these magical sort of like elemental geometrical pieces that kind of move you. They make me, I can feel them inside me, which is I guess is so metaphysical in a way. What would you hope for people who are coming here to see this exhibition? What would you hope for them to take away?
Well, I hope that they'll be surprised. I hope that, I'm pretty quiet. I've been showing regularly for at least 19 years. But there'll be works here that people who think they know my practice probably haven't seen before, so there'll be surprises. For people who come in fresh, it'll all be a surprise, and I hope there's some joy in it. I hope they're confused a little bit and they're not quite sure why I've done what I've done. I hope that they find a little bit of me. I mean, that's my job, is to communicate who I am. My job, I was kind of thinking a couple of days ago, what is my job? And my job is to make thought form. That's my job as an artist, is to kind of have a thought and find a way of expressing that in form. And that's what I've done for the last 21 years. And some of those thoughts are haphazard, and some of them are very carefully calculated, and some of them maybe in hindsight weren't correct, but this is the result of that process. So, yeah.
And finally, it's a mid-career survey. So really, it's sort of the beginning of the end of the beginning in a way, do you feel? So when you look forward, what are you looking forward towards within your work?
I'm not sure. That's one of the terrors of this exhibition, is what do I do after this? Do I go back and look at things that I've done previously? Do I just keep moving forward? I guess I try not to be too self-conscious in the way I approach my practice. I just try to do what needs to be done, what I feel like needs to be done at the time. So if that means going back and looking at things, but in some ways it feels like full stop as well, that I can put all this stuff behind me now and think about what to do next. And so the work in the foyer, which is the newest work in the exhibition, is quite a new direction for me. It's part installation, part prop. There's a performance element to it, which is not me, because I'm not shy, but I'm not extrovert. So I'm trying to kind of I'm trying to lose all the labels that I put on myself and other people have put on me, without reinventing myself, but just trying to find myself again. And this is a nice way of putting an end to what's happened before and beginning something new. But once again, carrying on these ideas, but into new forms. So hopefully new things will come, and I'm not quite sure what they are at this point. Yeah.
Congratulations. It is an incredible show. And this is only part of it. As you were saying, there's another 2 rooms out there, and you're about to go out there now and see all your friends and family. And so,
can I say one thing again? This show is so much the curator. I've never had an opportunity to work so closely with a curator. Because of COVID, we had an extra 10 months to prepare for the show. And this is as much her exhibition as it is mine. Samantha Littley, thank you so much. It's been so incredible to work with her. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, thank you. You have a super night.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.